This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm up a proverbial river, and I've seen Journey to the Beginning of Time, a sorta kinda educational film from Karel Zeman, released back in 1955, following four young boys and their summertime adventure backwards through millions of years of ancient history. Inspired by Jules Verne, the group take a boat through a mountain cave and emerge in the era of the caveman, with one of the boys keeping a log of their encounters along the way. As the journey progresses, the boys eventually come face to face with dinosaurs, giant insects, and the origin of life itself. The film is, again, more educational than narrative, with a general pattern forming over time. The boys continue down the river, they stop and make camp, one of the boys goes off to explore, and he eventually comes back with something to share. It's a simple and episodic formula that works for the film's story, but is a bit tiresome figuratively and literally, especially with the rather sleepy pacing and flow. The movie likes to take its time in quiet exploration, kind of like a cruise rather than an adventure. One of the points that the boys make throughout the film is that what they are doing is a scientific exploration, and that pretty much seems to be how the filmmakers chose to treat it as well. I'm not saying that the movie has to be full of amazing action or sights to keep the viewer entertained, but it certainly foregoes that sort of spectacle in favor of the alternative. That said, there is still a spectacle in the film's production, mixing real-world locations and characters with puppetry and animation to bring the long-extinct creatures of the past back to life. It's pretty obvious that the beasts are fictional elements, but their designs are convincing enough that they still feel real for the film's locations. Not to mention that they're blended in well enough with the environment, rather than standing out due to their fakeness. Furthermore, the film presents these elements with a sense of natural presence, in that rather than put the focus on them in a scene or a shot, they're allowed to exist as if they were just always there. Again, this is likely because of the film's focus on education rather than action, but it's a welcome detail. I will say that these effects do seem a bit scattered and underused across the film, when I feel like there could have been more of them used. But I figure that doing so could have cheapened the experience, and so the less is more approach works out in the long run. The entirety of Journey to the Beginning of Time seems to work off of less is more, as the film is essentially just that, utilizing a small amount of characters, setting, and story to paint a much larger picture overall. And while it's not so much a traditional narrative as much as it is a guided tour, it's still pretty entertaining in its own right to see what encounters and lessons are learned by the boys, and their stories are told and shown in a charming and expressive manner that certainly leaves an impression on the viewer. Journey to the Beginning of Time, Karel Zeman, 1955. 4 stars. I say, give it a shot. Anyways, that's it from me for now. If you like this review, feel free to like the video too. If you want to leave a comment, be my guest. If you want to see more reviews like this, subscribe to the channel. I'm tempted to find a cave in this theater and try rafting into it as an escape. Might work, might not. Doesn't hurt to try.